How's it going, you guys? So in this video I wanted to talk a little bit about the paleo diet, what type of paleo diet is probably best for a lot of people, and why you might want to consider eating a paleo diet. So over the last year and a half, I've been talking a lot about ketogenic diets and how powerful they can be for the prevention and the reversal of many chronic diseases, and how they can improve athletic performance, improve your mental, your cognitive abilities, improve your sleep, and a whole lot of other problems can be completely fixed using a paleo diet, using a ketogenic diet. But for many people, number one, they don't want to give up carbs. Number two, they seem to believe that they have problems when they remove carbs, and they think that it's a carb deficiency of some kind. For example, I've had people say that they get dry eyes, and because Dave Asprey claims it's a glucose deficiency, then by golly, I need carbs. Which that is a load of nonsense. And I've explained why in many videos. People just don't understand the glucose metabolism and how the body actually creates glucose when it's not being fed dietary glucose. But anyway, a lot of people feel like they need carbs. So a paleo diet is not a low carb diet. A paleo diet is carb agnostic, and what that means is it could be low carb, it could be high carb, okay? A paleo diet has nothing to do with macros, although an emphasis on high quality animal protein is a big part of it. What a paleo diet is all about eating foods that are in alignment with our body's biology, okay? And it's not even about eating what, our ancient ancestors ate, although that is the underlying philosophy behind it, because you can't exactly emulate what our ancestors ate millions of years ago, or whatever, in Paleolithic times. But the fact is, a lot of people have digestive problems from grains, digestive problems from beans, and things like that. And if you're like me, you tried everything to be able to digest these things, everything, and you still have extreme problems or autoimmune disease, you might want to look into trying a paleo diet. Paleo diets are more so about removing the foods that tend to cause problems for a lot of people. Now, the particular paleo diet that I like, I actually like the book Paleo Principles by Sarah Ballantyne, PhD. I think she's also known as a paleo mom. And the reason why I like that is because it doesn't really restrict you to like one diet. It doesn't fall in line with just strict paleo where you remove all beans and things. She actually talks about how, some people can tolerate legumes. And of course, our Paleolithic ancestors have been found to, with starch granules from legumes in their teeth. And if you can tolerate full fat dairy, that's fine. And saturated fat could be bad or could be okay depending on the context. And she has a book, Paleo Principles, and it is just a gigantic textbook full of basically nutrition science. Talks about the different vitamins and minerals and their biological mechanisms in the body, talks about the different foods and the different caveats behind why you should or shouldn't eat them. It's a great book. And I think that is probably the best book to read if you're a health professional looking into the paleo diet and you really want to understand, cut through the dogma. You want to know the science and the truth and the facts about paleo, and rather than it's our paleo ancestors and that's why we should eat it. It goes into the science behind why it works and things like that. And even the layperson, it's a great read, and you get all the information you need out of it. So why, what type of people would this be good for? So obviously people who feel like they have problems when they remove carbs. I mean, even in the book Paleo Principles, she talks about how a lot of women actually develop thyroid problems when they go too low for too long on carbohydrates. Now, that could actually just be because of long-term caloric restriction, because caloric restriction will cause hormonal problems in pretty much everybody if you keep the calorie deficit for too long. okay? And people on low-carb diets tend to eat a lot less because they're less hungry. But the fact is, carbohydrates stimulate appetite, and if you have no appetite, you're not going to eat much calories, which can lead to hormonal problems. So eating more carbs can help you become more hungry. So through that mechanism, a paleo diet can fix hormonal issues. But regardless, you know, so if you're having problems with low-carb dieting, the paleo diet is much better. Beyond that, athletes who seek increased athletic performance, decrease pain, soreness, and inflammation, and increase recovery in between workouts would benefit from the higher carbohydrate in the diet, the higher carbohydrate allowance, just timing your carbs around workouts to allow a moderate degree of ketosis, but at the same time, you get to refill your glycogen storage. You get to feel more refreshed and more recovered after workouts. You get to the benefit of having a higher mineral content. That's a big one, because on keto you don't really get to eat a lot of fruits or even vegetables, but a lot of fruits. And fruits and tubers, which, by the way, tubers is another thing that, is typically not allowed in paleo diets, but Paleo Principles or even the Primal Blueprint, they allow tubers. And tubers are very high in magnesium, they're very high in potassium, vitamin C, and so are fruits. And these things are very important for general health and well-being, as well as athletic performance, especially if you're burning through energy on a constant basis. You need a lot more electrolytes. And what's the one problem people have on keto? They don't get enough electrolytes. So paleo, in particular a paleo template type of diet, allows tubers, legumes, if you could tolerate them. Dairy is very high in calcium, magnesium, potassium, which are all very important minerals, and K2 as well. And so you can get all the raw materials, all the nutrients you need to sustain athletic performance, and not worry about all the, the extra things on keto that you got to worry about. Salt, electrolytes, magnesium, potassium, glycogen, dry eyes, glucose deficiency, which doesn't actually exist. A lot of people probably feel a lot better on this diet, okay? So athletes, people that have problems on chronic carbohydrate restriction, people have autoimmune diseases, and they don't want to quite go keto or carnivore yet. You should try an autoimmune paleo protocol, which is outlined in the book Paleo Principles, by the way. And that's actually what I use to reverse my psoriasis and my irritable bowel syndrome. So it works really well. And so, what I would recommend you guys do is, if you're just beginning on the paleo journey, check out Mark Sisson's Primal Blueprint. Goddammit, Primal Blueprint. Just because that one is really simple to understand, and it's the easiest read. It's not really a science book. It's more so just the outline of the principles in a way that is very user-friendly. It's not meant to be a science book, okay? But the new Primal Blueprint is what it's called. The new Primal Blueprint, the latest edition. It's very important you get the latest edition, because the older one is really cheap, but it's very old, it's outdated. It doesn't include the gigantic amount of user-added information. The cool thing about the Primal Blueprint is that Mark Sisson ran the biggest paleo forum on the internet for 2 decades. And so in the first Primal Blueprint, it was just the basic guidelines that he himself was recommending based on research. But in the newest version of the Primal Blueprint, it includes information from all the users that have actually used the Primal Blueprint, and all the troubleshooting tips and things that the gigantic user database on his forum have contributed so far. So it's a bunch of people's experience as well as the research combined into one gigantic Bible, basically, for paleo primal style living, but doesn't overload you with complicated, complex information. Now, Paleo Principles is basically the same thing, but it's much more comprehensive. It's a textbook. It's really good for doctors in particular, but at the same time, it presents the science and the biochemistry in a way that's easy to understand as well. So it's not really like a college level textbook, but it is. Leave your questions and comments down below. I'll talk to you next time.